Here's what's coming up on today's show.
A well thought out portfolio of stocks, real estate, and income generating components gives you a much more possible opportunity to win rather than just hoping for some shiny gold medal.
Welcome to the How Money Works podcast with Craig and Jennifer Moser of Maestro Wealth Advisors, serving you throughout the Triad of North Carolina for more than 30 years.
It's time once again for How Money Works with the great team from Maestro Wealth Advisors, Craig and Jennifer Moser here to talk investing, finance, and retirement. Jennifer is a certified exit planning advisor, and Craig is a financial advisor and certified financial planner. And the team has many, many years of experience helping families get to and through retirement. So get yourself on the calendar. Come on in for a consultation and a review at no cost or obligation to you by calling 833-RETIRE-WELL. That's 833-RETIRE-WELL. And get started today. Great show lined up. We're going to tackle some email questions and some fables as well, some financial fables. So stick around for that. We'll have a little bit of fun. Well, let's see if we can help some folks out with some email questions. And we're in the Mocksville area to start. We got Carl. He says, I have 3 adult children in their 20s. We paid for about half of each of their college tuition because we weren't sure how the whole thing was going to shake out with retirement savings at that time. Now that they're all graduated and have some remaining school loans, I'm wondering if we should help pay some of those off. So does that really change the equation, Carl? Do you still know where you're at, right, financially? But anyway, what do you think, Craig?
I have no clue. I don't have enough information, but I know how to evaluate the question. So run a comprehensive analysis. Determine how well you'll be able to handle your goals for retirement. Be sure you have a handle on any debt that you have personally. And if after this work has been done, you see that you have more than enough, then what a wonderful gift to be able to give children. Mm-hmm. But you don't want to turn around and cough up maybe $90,000. I'm just throwing 30 apiece, thinking that might be the number, just because I did. You know, that's a lot of money if you're trying, to also hit a retirement goal or have debt. So if you haven't ran a plan, you need to call us. Point blank, that's what I'm saying. Let us take your data, run this through, and then run it with the gift and show what it would be with and without you giving that money to them before you give money that you may need later. Other things, student loans this year, you can get up to $2,500 in a tax deduction off. Is it a deduction or is it a credit? Anyway, it's one of those two for student loan interest. So you might have to balance that to get them their best tax break as well. Maybe pay it in installments or something if you do that.
Good question, Carl. I know I just had it wasn't about the tuition, but it's very tempting when you're getting toward retirement and you see a bolus of money. And maybe even if you're in retirement, women more than men, Carl, they see this big pot of money and they say, I want to bless my kids now. And it's really important for you to run your numbers to make sure that you being a blessing now is not being a burden to them later when you aren't able to be, self-sufficient and being on your own in those retirement years. So point. Definitely run your numbers.
Yeah. And if you got a bowl full of money, I'll take some too. So, but all right, great question.
A bowl full.
She said bolus.
A bag full of hundreds.
That's right. Something like that. All right. So Carl, great question. Thank you so much for listening. 833-RETIRE-WELL to get your numbers run and get a strategy and plan in place so that you can figure out, if you want to use some of your legacy now while you can, watch them enjoy that as well. So that's a great question. A lot of people starting to have. So 833-RETIRE-WELL to get onto the calendar. All right. Kathy in Advance says, how wise is it to count on an inheritance as part of my retirement plan? Okay. Unless something goes horribly wrong, she says, I'll be getting a significant amount of money from my mom, which would more than cover my income needs in my latter years. I don't want to rely too heavily on the money, but I also don't want to save so much now that I can't enjoy living today and maybe need that money when I'm 75. How should you approach this? So, inheritance, Craig.
Well, these are layup questions for us. I hate to say it. So, Jennifer just said it. You're going to need to analyze the situation. How certain are you of the inheritance? Is it in a trust for you already? Whoever's going to leave that money to you have a well-designed will? Mm-hmm. Or is it just a house value? Is it house in a portfolio? A lot of questions. And
pre-tax or not?
Yeah. So let's take a look. And once you can see it, then it will be easier to make a decision. But if it works without, you having to have the inheritance, then, you should be in a pretty good spot. But if you don't get it, let's say mom has or dad has a nursing home event, it eats a lot of the capital up, or
That's
maybe
what I
they
was
sell
thinking.
the house.
Yep.
I mean, there's 100 things that can happen. So it's sort of the with and without approach. Let's look at it under both scenarios and see how well you can do. Because if you need to go ahead and save. And if it's really pretty much an imminent event, because a lot of times it is, all of us now that are, say, in your 60s, you are seeing the great wealth transfer. Your parents are passing away and leaving you maybe a house, maybe money, and it's all of a sudden, a wonderful, wonderful gift, but it's also a responsibility to make sure you do it well. So, those are things that I think we can walk you through, help you to see both sides of the story, and then make a good, solid decision based on the facts.
And Kathy, that's what we would do if you came to see us, is we would look at without the inheritance, with the inheritance. And, you kind of make it either way. As you say, I either save and have no fun now, or I have fun now and spend my mom's money later. I think there's probably really a happy medium in between. And I have not ever heard of anyone, even the clients that we have with $2 to $5 million, saying, dang it, I saved way too much and I should have had fun a lot earlier. Never have heard that statement. More of, man, I'm so thankful I have this money. Now let's go ahead and have some fun. And at 75, you can still have a lot of fun, unless your health is bad. So,
Yeah.
Kathy, run your numbers. The whole show today is going to be probably about making
Run
sure
your
you run your numbers.
Yeah.
833 retire well. 833 retire well.
Yeah, and you don't, what grandmama say, don't count your chickens before you have them, right, before they have.
Yep.
So just make sure, because to Craig's point, anything, she says unless something goes horribly wrong, that's almost like inviting something
That's
to go
right.
horribly wrong.
Yeah.
So get a plan, get a strategy. That'll help you, know what you need to do. 833 retire well. All right, final question this week from Jack in Winston-Salem. Says, I cannot wait to retire from my job, but I have a constant fear of the markets going down like the week after I quit or something like that, or a recession or something along those lines. How do you overcome fears, Craig, when you're dealing with those kind of phobias or worries?
Well, that's a good worry.
Sure.
Stocks are high. I mean, they're as high as they've ever been right now.
Yep.
I don't have time to explain that, but it's a thing. So if you are too aggressively invested, it could bite you. It might go up higher, but what a risk to take with all the money you've saved your whole entire life. So again, first of all, what am I going to say, Jennifer? Run your numbers.
Well, that, and I think you can plan around these fears too, to some extent.
But if you understand how your portfolio is built, then you have more confidence in how you're doing it. If you're just putting it in the market and hoping it continues to go up, I think that's a bad choice, personally. If you are at retirement age and you have enough money to retire today and you put it all at risk hoping to make a double and instead you get half, that wasn't a wise decision. I hate to just say it that way. It was not.
Yeah.
But if you spread it out and say, how much am I going to need short term? That's safe stuff. I can't mess with that because I'm going to need it in the next 1, 2, or 3 years. How much of my money do I need that spits out cash flow for me? I mean, if you can visualize it, it's so much better. And then the growth component, however much is left for that, maybe a lot, maybe a little, but that's the money that you trim when it's up. You take some of those profits off the top and let your horses run. I hate to just say it that way, but you can design this a proper way. But if you're thinking, I didn't make as much as so-and-so did, and they're taking incredible risk is not a good plan.
And Jack, I think you're talking really kind of about the sequence of returns. And that's really a concept, Craig, we talk about this. If you're just peeling the onion, you have a pot of money and you're peeling the onion off every year, then, if the market's down, you're peeling that layer off in a down market. When that market's up, you're peeling that layer off in an up market. There are better ways to plan and strategize, Craig, as you have said, you structure and you compartmentalize different buckets of money for different needs. And you try to avert, if you really think there's, the market's high, and you want to plan for that, then let's peel off some of that money. Let's have guaranteed maturities that will satisfy your income goal in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and let your growth bucket ride a recession or a depression or whatever it is, the volatility, until it's ready to produce for you. So, Jack, good question. I think you're probably not alone in this fear.
No, a lot of people, I think, are worried about, getting to retirement and something catastrophic happening. But that's, again, if you got a plan and you see a strategy in black and white, it kind of puts some of those fears to bed when you can see how things are laid out, right? There's always going to be wild cards. But
happened to a lot of people in 2008.
Sure. And how many of them didn't have a strategy? But then again, that was also a massive downturn. I think a lot of times we see the smaller ones and we still kind of worry about that. So at the end of the day, you need a strategy. You need a plan. Jen, and that's why they need to come in, right? Get onto the calendar or even sign up for the newsletter or, just take some action, right?
Take some action, but, it's easy to kind of take the newsletter and look at it and read it and say, how does it apply to me? And I think the only way that you really understand how things apply to you is if you have a one-on-one conversation with a professional to ask those questions, to see how it applies and to understand. I think that's really the best way to grow in your knowledge and creating, your knowledge of retirement and what it means and how to plan around it and for it.
Get yourself onto the calendar for that consultation at 833-RETIRE-WELL. That's 833-RETIRE-WELL, or visit them online at maestrowealth.com. Sign up for the newsletter, check out the podcast or the YouTube channel, and all the other tools, tips, and resources, as well as schedule some time for yourself to come on in for that consultation. So maestrowealth.com or 833-RETIRE-WELL. All right, we're going to put you guys to the test today. Aesop's Fables.
Aesop's Fables.
That's right. We're going to talk
about... You
about...
guys getting this stuff.
I like this stuff.
This is good stuff, right? So we all know, all of us have probably heard most of these. So I want you to do a moral of the story, but financial spin it. Okay? So instead of just doing the regular one, you're going to be fine. Don't grumble at me.
People learn through stories, Craig.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't grumble at me. You got this. I know you got this. Yeah. All right. The miser and his gold. Kind of sounds like Craig.
Oh my gosh.
That's a Moser and his gold.
Yeah.
There you go. The Moser and his gold.
Started.
All right. So if you're not familiar with the story, real quick, there was a miser who used to hide his gold at the foot of a tree in his garden. Every week he used to go and dig it up and just gloat over his riches. A robber noticed this, went and dug up the gold and ran off with it. When the miser came to gloat over the riches, he found he had nothing but an empty hole. And he put up a big outcry. The neighbors came to see and asked him, well, what did you do with it? And he said, nothing. I never took it out. I just came to look at it. So I'll shorten it there. What's the moral of the story if you've got a whole bunch of riches in a pot and you never touch it?
Wait. Then the neighbor said... Then come over here and look at the hole. It will do you just as much good.
Oh,
Because
good
all
point.
you did was look at it.
Good point.
Okay, now I get it. I was sitting there going, I don't know what this means. So biblically speaking, the love of money, not a really good way to live. Loving money is the root of many evils. And to whom much is given, much is expected. I'm kind of getting a little philosophical, but if you have plenty, so again, you run your numbers, take a look. If everything is just golden, maybe you should bless others with some of the abundance that you have. It will bless you. I will tell you that when you help somebody, it's a rewarding thing and it seems to come back around to you. Now I'm going to switch using the actual gold.
Okay.
If you just buy gold as an asset, it really doesn't earn anything, nor does it pay a dividend or interest. So you're hoping the value of it goes up and somebody will want it at a higher price. Be careful with that idea. Gold can be an inflation hedge, especially when the dollar declines in value versus other currencies. But a well thought out portfolio of stocks, real estate, and income generating components gives you a much more possible opportunity to win rather than just hoping for some shiny gold medal.
See, when I had heard the miser and his gold story, I was thinking more of a client that we have who did a tremendous job saving money. Yeah, saving money, had like $2 million. But he was scared and really kind of invested his money in very low earning, safe investment because he was afraid to do something with those funds. And I was just thinking of him and yeah, he's fine. It's not going to hurt him. He's definitely going to be able to retire. But I'm thinking how much better his situation could be if he wasn't afraid of the funds. And just saw this big pot. He could divide things out. He could put some in growth and minimal risk, but it could bless and do more for him and for his legacy and that kind of thing. So that's what I see when I hear about the miser and his gold. This is to propel you for something. Don't just sit back and admire it and pat yourself on the back. What is it going to do for you, and how can you be the best steward of those funds? but that's
Okay.
what I think. So let's go to the man and his 2 wives. And
He has 2 wives?
he has 2 wives.
That poor man.
Yeah, in the old days.
He's also bald, Craig, just so you know.
That's right. Wait, you just took the punchline.
I'm
All right.
sorry.
So in the old days, when men were allowed to have many wives, a middle-aged man had 1 old wife and 1 young wife. Each one loved him very much and wanted to be his favorite. So now the man's hair was growing gray, and the young wife didn't like it because it made him look like she was married to an old man, right? So every night she'd comb his hair and pick out the white hairs. But the older wife saw her husband growing gray, and with great pleasure, she did not like to be mistaken for his mother. So every morning, she used to arrange his hair and pick out many of the black ones as he could. Well, the moral of the consequence of that was the man soon found himself entirely bald, Craig.
Shut up.
So the
Now
moral of the
divorced.
story is basically if you yield to everyone, people are going to have their own opinions, decisions, what's best for them, and then try to mold you to change your behavior for them.
Yeah.
If you get whipsawed by that, you're going to end up with nothing. Basically.
Okay.
And when I read this, I thought, that's typical. We have several clients that as soon as they hear something on the news or read it in
The brother.
in their brother or whatever, they go, oh, I need this in my portfolio. I should do this. What do you think about this? And they're always constantly changing and thinking that this other shiny, as Craig's term, shiny whiz bang is their solution to whatever they're seeing. And so I think that's important because I think people do get whipped up into a frenzy, especially with the media, because they are there to whip up a frenzy. Because then you'll continue to watch them.
That's correct. And you can sell advertising dollars.
Right. So I think it's important. It's really important when you have a financial plan that you understand your financial plan and you believe in it and you follow it. And don't let the next shiny whiz bang start pulling you off track. It's okay to ask questions, but don't feel like you're missing out if you don't have this and you've got to constantly change your portfolio or your investments.
I promise you the world will turn and all of a sudden what seemed exciting will all of a sudden won't. And so you just have to build a solid portfolio. We're talking about a portfolio now that has the right components based on your age, your risk tolerance, and looking to the future as well and having some growth on top of the income and safe part so that you're in a world to where you make a solid return and not worry about the years where the S&P did 25%. The following year it loses 25%. Again, you're net zero. So you need to be careful and not, get what you wish for sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Sort of like that fable, Craig.
Yeah, you need a process and a plan, not just a product, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you don't have one, you know the number to call. And that's 833-RETIRE-WELL. And we will sit down and we'll prevent baldness in your life.
It didn't happen for me, but it will happen for you.
833-RETIRE-WELL. Yeah, there you go. 833-RETIRE-WELL. But I do like that, you can't yield to everyone because then you'll have nothing left to yield. So that's a great point. All right, we're going to do one more classic one. All right, and we'll finish off with the tortoise and the hare. Everybody knows this. I don't really need to set this one up, I don't think, right? At the end of the day, Craig, if you're thinking about this classic fable, how would you apply that to a financial, conversation?
Concept.
Yeah.
There's a reason why people get wealthy, and it's by building a solid portfolio. Some people, I have seen it. Somebody hits the lottery ticket, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And they went really fast from zero to hero, and they made a ton of money. Can they then keep it's a question. So if you build a solid portfolio, much like if you build a good solid house, it's going to last. That money will be there for you and then for your legacy as well. If you have it in things that are too aggressive or maybe in things that are way too conservative, it looks good for a time, but you really don't have a plan and a way for this to really work. These things really work if you do them well. And second guessing yourself, you don't need to do that. I talk to people all the time, and they'll come in with $4 or $5 million, and we hit their income goal easily, and it's like, you just ran this race and won. Why are you going to try to lose it in something that's way riskier than you need? Mm-hmm. If you want to do this, take a little pinch off and go play with it, but don't put the the thing that's already there that I can make work from now until you quit living, and let's just do it right. And then if you want to quote unquote play with something, let's go ahead and put a little money over on the side and let you do it. But once you've built a good solid portfolio, this thing's going to work.
And there's no need to risk it for that thrill or that high.
Yeah,
and that's the thing.
We would rather see your portfolio have a foundation. You know, if you're building a house, have solid walls, and then the top of it, or the more risky part of your portfolio, yeah, that's there for future. But if the market doesn't give it to you for a while, you don't have to take from it when it's down. So just let us talk to you. Our number is 833-RETIRE-WELL. We'll sit down with you, run all of your numbers. We can do several different iterations so that you've seen different scenarios that could happen in your life. We've done this a time or two, and make sure that you're on track.
And time can be on your side. So I don't know how old you are as you're listening today, but if you're just starting out, definitely start saving money. Slow and steady wins the race, as this tortoise and the hare example is. Continue to put money back through hard times and good times. You should be paying yourself every single paycheck. So making sure you're doing that. As you are approaching retirement, make sure that you are putting those dollars in the right place. Should you be doing Roth dollars, pre-tax dollars, outside of your 401k, matching the 401k? Where do you choose those? Maybe you have deferred comp. How do you structure that deferred comp to make sure that when you're ready to retire, not everything is coming due at one time? There are tax consequences that you may not be aware of, and expense consequences with Medicare and that kind of thing. So it pays to understand what's out there in front of you and to plan for it and around it to make sure you keep more of your money. The government's always wanting a piece of that. Luckily, we've got low tax rates now. Let's take advantage of that. Do we need to do any kind of Roth conversions before you start taking your required minimum distributions after you've worked? That kind of thing. Those are the tax planning features and the things we do, not just creating a retirement income plan, but maximizing your dollars to maximize the income for you and hopefully leaving a larger legacy for those that you love. If you've not done a retirement plan, I can't say it enough. We say it every single week. Run your numbers, create your retirement plan, understand what it is, and we're going to do those different scenarios to try to see what could happen in retirement to mess that up, to create costs in your retirement that you may not have anticipated, and will you be successful to weather those storms if they come your way? Our number, 833-RETIRE-WELL. Sit down with one of our advisors, Craig, myself, Cameron, and we'll create that retirement plan for you. 833-RETIRE-WELL.
Thank you so much for your time here on How Money Works. We always appreciate it. And we'll see you next week with the team from Maestro Wealth Advisors. 833-RETIRE-WELL. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. If you have any questions about what we've discussed, remember, you can get a complimentary financial review with the team at Maestro Wealth Advisors by calling 833-RETIRE-WELL or go online to howmoneyworksradio.com for other great resources and ways to reach the team. You can also check the show notes of today's episode for our contact information as well. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite app so you never miss an episode. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all the most popular apps. For Craig and Jennifer Moser, I'm Mark Killian. We'll talk to you next time on the How Money Works podcast.
Securities offered through Cetera Wealth Services, LLC, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Cetera Investment Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Cetera is under separate ownership from any other named entity.